Welcome, everyone, and thanks for joining us for tonight's session on circulation and patrons. My name is Jessie, and I am one of the educators here at Bywater Solutions. I also have with us Adam. He will be joining us. He will be checking the Q&A as well as the chat box during this session. So if you have any questions, please use that chat box or the Q&A box, and he will be monitoring those during the session. The first thing I do want to point out is our upgrade schedule. Upgrades began this week to anyone with test servers. Then next week, we will begin the upgrades to the production servers, and that will start again the week of April 3rd. Our goal is to get as many sites upgraded in the month of April as possible. This year, we will have a nice bright notice on your staff client on the left-hand side in that news section. And that's going to include your upgrade date a week before your server is scheduled to be upgraded. So keep an eye out for that, and let your students and staff and anyone who's working, let them know that that's when that upgrade will be taking place, okay? Now, for those of you who have attended some of our sessions in the past, we have those available online on demand. So if you want to watch again, or if you have staff members who haven't been able to attend our sessions, if you come over to our Koha 1611 upgrade notes, and what I'll do is I'll put that in the chat box for you guys. This has a link to all of our recorded sessions. This is also going to include links that go out to our community release notes, the new community manual, as well as the 1605 upgrade notes. So just a few ones you'll want to bookmark, and again, share these with your staff if they haven't been able to attend some of the sessions. This will also include all of the enhancements and upgrades to each one of the modules, as well as the developments by our Bywater partners, as well as those new system preferences, okay? All right, now just to wrap things up, we're gonna have one more week of training for all of the module-specific webinars, and those will be 1-hour sessions, and that will go through April 6th. Then beginning on April 10th, we'll begin our town hall sessions. Our town hall sessions will be broken down into 4 different options. We'll have an academic in school, a public library, a special library, and then a consortia town hall. Anyone is welcome to attend. This will be an opportunity for the Bywater team as well as our partners to get together and talk about all of the different upgrade options that you have, some of the enhancements, maybe some workflows that you'll be doing, and just a great way to share ideas with some of your colleagues that are also using Koha. Okay, well, with that, I am going to jump right over to the staff client, and we're going to start talking about some of our new enhancements in circulation and patrons. Okay, so first let's start with circulation. And that is, we now have the option to create a hold request when checking out an item that's already on loan. So sometimes when circulation staff try to check in an item that is already on loan to a different patron, Koha currently puts a message up asking whether to check in the item or check it out again. Well, guess what? This enhancement now adds an option to instead create a hold request on an item. So let's come over, and we're going to pull up Joans Account. All right, here we go. Here's Joan. And so now let's try to check out a item that may be already checked out to somebody else. So let's come in here and scan our barcode. There we go. So now we have a couple options here. So you'll see I have yes, check out, or no, don't check out. But now I have a new option. It's telling me that this is already checked out to Joanne Slow Burner. So I can check it in and check out. Or now I have this new option, which lets me cancel checkout and place the hold for Joan. Okay, so a nice new option there. All right, let's talk about another circulation enhancement. For those of you who are using the decrease loan high holds feature, we have a new setting in here. So I'm going to come into administration, and just to show you the system preference first. Okay, so we have the decrease loan high holds. This allows the high holds loan length to decrease to be overridden by either a checkbox that remembers its settings during the series of checkouts, or one at a time using an override checkbox. Okay, so depending on how you have your set, right now I'll show you what we have our set for. So we have it set to enable, and we have the reduction of a loan period to 7 days when the item has 2 or more holds on the record. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. I'm going to come back over here to my circulation. So now I'm going to try, and I'm going to come back over here, and we're going to try checking out another option to Joan so we can get a new pop-up here. Okay, so let's grab Joan's checkout, and we're going to come over here and scan that barcode. Okay, here we go. Now we have our option here that shows our item, handle with care, has been on hold for Joanne Slow Burner, okay? And it tells us right away that this is a high demand item. So the loan period has been shortened to 7 days with a due date of 4/5. So it's asking me, do you want to check out anyway? So here's my option. I could say, don't decrease the loan length based on holds, cancel hold. Or down below, of course, I'm going to have my yes check out, no don't check out and print slip, or cancel checkout and place a hold for Joan. So you have some options here. So with this new enhancement, now you have an option that can be overridden, and you also have the option to cancel it as well. So you'll have a new pop-up there if you are using the decrease high holds loan period. Okay. All right, so let's take another look at one of our other ones. This is a great enhancement, especially if you guys have any type of guarantors, okay? This is gonna give me another option that I can see another warning with. If you have guarantors and guarantees, in the current system, we have our no issue charge, right? So that would prevent a patron from checking out if they have more than, let's say, $25 in fees. Well, we know that sometimes people, go around the system and they'll check it out to either their son or their daughter if they have something that is checked out on their account. Well, now we have a new system preference that works around that, and that is called the no issues charge guarantees. So let's first come over to our system preferences, and I'm going to come over here and we'll do a quick search so you can see what that system preference looks like. So here we have it, no issues charge guarantees. So this would prevent a patron from checking out if the patron has guarantees owing in more than X amount of US dollars in fines, okay? So I'm going to try and use one of my repeat offenders. So I'm going to come in and I'm going to pull in Joaquin DePlank. Joaquin has a daughter, Wondrin DePlank. So if I come down below, you can see here Joaquin has quite some fines and fees. And if you see over here, Wondrin also has a $25 fine from a book. So let's try checking something out to Joaquin, and I'd like you to see the message that we get. Okay, so the first thing we have is this patron has a debt of $15.80. But now take a look at this next one. You can see the patrons' guarantees collectively have a debt of $25. So there we have it. There's that new system preference that ties in. So now you'll be able to see a little message letting you know if the guarantees have a collective fee. So great, great, great new enhancement, especially for those of you who may be using guarantors and guarantees in the system. Okay, so now we talked about some of the new pop-ups that you're going to see and new notifications when you're doing any type of activity for circulation. Let's take a look at some of the enhancements that are in the checkout screen. So let's come back and let's pull up Joanne here. One of the new enhancements that you will notice is anything that may be in your title for any type of serial or item that has something in the serial enumeration field will now be visible right after the title. So for example, if somebody was checking out Better Homes and Gardens, and it was the March 2017 issue, we'd be able to see March 2017 right over here. The same thing goes for a multi-volume set. Let's say I was checking out, Trust and Estates, Volume 6. I'd be able to see that Volume 6 right after it. So now in the title field, we'll be able to see the serial enumeration number. So very nice enhancement there. We also have a new field that's also been added to our checkout screen, and that is going to be the column for home library. So now in our checkouts table, we'll also be able to see the home library that's been added to the checkouts table. So another nice new enhancement, especially for our branch systems. Okay, so we've taken a look at our checkout table. Let's take a look at some of our check-in enhancements. So I'm going to come up to the top and I'm going to select my check-in, and let's come over here and check in an item. Okay, this is a new option. So now at the moment when scanning in returns, it can be really easy to miss a hold trap, due to the fact that the barcode and submit are still active. And sometimes the barcode field is focused in on. The librarian is working hard to get all of those books scanned in. And sometimes it's easy to scan another item in and pass the form. Now we have a pop-up menu with a button that allows you to select Confirm Hold. So you can see now we have a nice, beautiful pop-up screen. It's a little brighter, and we have that option that allows me to come in and confirm that hold, okay? Now this takes me into another enhancement that's in our checkout screen, and that is the option to see the accession date in check-in. So you'll notice here now that we have a date acquired field in our check-in field. So that's a nice enhancement that you can turn both on and off through the column visibility. If I scroll down a little bit, you'll notice I have date acquired. So if I unselect that, and now I come back over here and you can see that that is gone. So again, I can come over here, and if I select that date acquired, that'll show up right over here on the right-hand side. So just a nice option there with our check-in information. Okay, any questions before we move on to some of our holds enhancements?
Nothing.
Nothing? Okay, all right, we'll keep rocking and rolling. Okay, so now let's talk about some of our hold requests. So the first big one for this release is the ability to place multiple item holds on a given record for a patron. Currently, Koha only allows one hold to be placed per patron. Even if the record has multiple items, often our patrons or students, want to be able to check out, let's say, a multi-volume set. Maybe you need volume 3 and volume 6, but you don't need the rest of them. Well, this feature allows individuals to now place multiple holds on one given record. So let's first start by coming in, and we're going to go into our system preferences, and we're going to come back over here to administration, and we're going to come into our circulation and fine rules. We have a new column that's been added to our circ and fine rules table, and that's what's going to control our level of holds per record. So by default, that number is going to be 1. Okay, but now I can come in here and control at the patron and item type level. So for example, I can come in and say, I'm allowing the patron to make 3 on a particular item type, or 2 on a particular item type, or 2 or 3, whatever it may be. So once I have that selected, now the patron can come in and create a request on a multi-item. So let's come over here and we'll search the catalog for, let's say, let's do Downton. Okay, so now you can see we have a couple options in here. So if I come into my holds, I have an option here. So this allows me to type in an individual's name. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to add in Kyle. Now here I can give Kyle the next available item to place a hold, or I can come down here and select the particular item that I want to place a hold on.
Jesse?
Yeah.
Eric has a question.
Sure.
He wants to know if it is possible to do unlimited holds on an item type.
Unlimited, so maybe we could leave it set at, I haven't tested leaving it set at unlimited at this point, Eric, but I will check. Eric from College of Creative California Arts. Or Adam, if you could get that information, that would be great.
You got it right.
Okay. Okay, Eric, I will find out. Kyle, our developer, actually wrote this one, so I will check to see if we can leave that unlimited. Just like in the case where if we wanted to give them unlimited checkouts, if we could give them unlimited holds. Great question. Okay, let's do one more so you can see that Kyle can make another option in. So let's come down here and I'm going to place this next one on hold for Kyle. And now you can see we have 2 on there for Kyle. And just to hit that sweet spot, let's get one more in there for Kyle to do that third one. And you can see down there, it has the flash. If I come in and do that last one, I can come in and place a hold. And there we go. So now I was able to place 3 holds in there for Kyle. And the same can be done for those individuals on the OPAC. Okay. Now that we've placed those holds, let's look at a new feature that can be made. Currently, staff can change from the holds where the pickup library is. So for example, let's say Kyle called up and said, hey, I'm going to pass the main library on Friday. Would it be possible if I pick my book up there? We as staff can come in here and say main branch and update holds. Well, now we can also do it from Kyle's account as well. So if we come down here and then we select holds, this will actually allow us, and now we have a new column in here that allows us to change the pickup location right from their account. So we no longer have to go right into the bib, we can actually change it from the patron's account.
Jesse?
Hi.
Another question.
Sure.
Currently, they believe that they have this option already. When they have patrons that are interested in placing holds on volume 1 and 6 of a single record with different items, we do this for them by clicking specific items. How is this different?
And they can select multiple items on the same bib record?
Yes.
Okay, and which library is this?
They're logged in as anonymous.
Okay, well, this is a feature that's just been added to our most recent release. So we do have a handful of partners that have been upgraded. So if you're one of those libraries that has been upgraded, you may be seeing this already. But this is definitely a new enhancement that is not on 322.
It's Los Gatos.
Okay. I will check that for you after we finish. I'll see what your system is on.
I've got their information.
Great, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. Okay, so now that we've taken a look at that, let's take a look at the option that we now have to suspend holds. Currently on the OPAC, our patrons can suspend holds from their OPAC account. As staff, we could also suspend holds from the bib level. Well, now we have a nice button next to each one of the holds right in the patron's account. So we can see here for Kyle's account where he has those 11 holds, there's now an option to suspend or resume individual holds right from this feature. This enhancement was inspired by that same feature, again, that's already available in the OPAC. Okay. All right. Now that we've talked about some of our holds enhancements, let's talk about some of our notices enhancements. The first one we're going to look at is in our tools, and this comes into our more and then tools. And then if we come over here to notices and slips, we have a few options over here. You'll notice that now we have action buttons rather than clickable links. You'll notice in this new upgrade that we have options to select radio buttons rather than clickable links. So same actions, copy and edit and delete, but now they have a nice font and some brighter, larger buttons. So just a nice visual enhancement there for our notices and slips. Okay, now let's move into our patrons. The first enhancement we're going to take a look at is in our new patron dropdown. So when I come in to create a patron's account, we have a new enhancement that is in the date of birth section. When I enter in a specific birth date, so let's go grab a birth date here, and I'm going to come in and select, let's say September. This will allow me to come over, select my date. I have a new feature down here that shows me the age, so I can see that Joseph Gillespie is 19 years old and 6 months. So this is a nice enhancement that automatically pops the age up under the birth date field after it's been filled in. This is nice for those of you who don't want to think about math real quick, and if you have a cutoff for your let's say child's or teen or adult patrons, you'll know right away if they're either 18 or 13 or whatever it may be. So just a nice option there. Our next enhancement in the patrons module is the addition of the quick add patron form. This allows us to come in and select which type of patron we are creating. This is a nice feature that allows you to quickly add in your patron's information. Now you'll notice right up top, we have the option that allows us to show the full form, or again, I could break down and go to the brief form. This was added in. So for example, if you have your patrons come in, and when they get a new card, they have to fill out maybe a piece of paper where they fill in their information and sign their name. And then the librarian verifies that information and adds it into the form. Well, this quick add form allows them to quickly add them in. Maybe there's a long line and they want to get that patron checked out as quickly as possible. This quick add form would allow you to select certain fields to set that information up. Now, there is a new system preference that does tie in with that, and that is the patron quick add fields. So let's jump back over to administration, and I'm going to come over here to my system preferences, and we'll bring up our patron quick add fields. What this allows us to do is this allows us to add any additional fields to the patron quick add form when entering that new patron. So for example, we put in user ID, password, and email. So if there was other information that you wanted to collect in that quick add form, you could absolutely add it in. So just a quick, nice new feature that allows you to quickly add that patron in. Remember, at any time, you can easily switch back and forth to the full form if you wanted to add in more information at that time. Okay. All right, now let's talk about a new enhancement for our guarantors and guarantees, another one that we have. So I'm going to come in here and we're going to pull up Joan, and we're going to take a look at Joan and her daughter Azalea. We have a new system preference that will allow patrons to allow the guarantor to see OPAC privacy settings or allow staff to set visibility for the guarantor. So we have two new system preferences that tie in here. Again, this is going to allow relatives checkouts to be seen in the OPAC. So let's start with our system preferences first. Our first new system preference, let's jump over here, is going to be allow patron to set the checkout visibility for guarantor. So what that means is Azalea can choose the privacy settings for showing the patron's checkouts to the patron's guarantor. Now this does require that you have your OPAC privacy settings set to allow for your patrons. Okay, so I can either set that to allow or don't allow. My other new system preference is going to be allow staff to set checkout visibility for the guarantor. So let's take a look at that one. This gives the option to the staff. So now you can set the staff to allow or don't allow staff to set the ability for patrons' checkouts to be viewed by link patrons in the OPAC. Okay, so now let's jump back over here. So here we have Joans Account. We can see that her guarantee is Azalea Huel. If I scroll down to the bottom, I'm going to come over here and grab Azalea's account. Again, we can see the guarantor information. So let's come in here to edit. So whether you're creating a new patron from scratch or you're editing an existing patron in the system, under their guarantor information, you're going to see an option if you choose to turn the staff visibility on. You can see here we have show checkouts to guarantor. So I can say yes or no. And this will tell me right away that this allows the guarantor of this patron to view the patron's checkouts from the OPAC. Okay. So now let's take a look at the OPAC side of things. I'm going to come over here to the OPAC. And first, let's log in as Azalea. So Azalea, again, is the child. And so now Azalea has an option under privacy, which now allows her to say, allow your guarantor to view your current checkouts. So I have the option for yes or no here. And then I can see right away your guarantor is Joan Huel. Okay, so now that's the option for the guarantee. So now let's log out, and I'm going to log in as Joan now. Remember, Joan's the mother or the guarantor. Now that we've selected yes, we have the option to see the relatives checkouts now. So now I have a tab that shows me Azalea's relative checkouts. So again, if you are using guarantors and guarantees in your system, this is a nice enhancement that will allow you to have the option for your patron as well as your staff to set visibility for the guarantor. If you're interested in setting that up, we have a video on the YouTube channel, and I'm going to throw that into the chat for you guys. All right, now.
Jesse?
Yeah.
Quick question about the guarantor.
Sure.
Brittany would like to know if the guarantor would also receive overdue notices for the guarantees materials.
Not unless the guarantor's email is in the guarantee's email address.
Okay. And then Jamie would like to know what happens when the guarantee comes of age. Can they no longer see their checkouts? So I'm thinking she's asking when she turns when the guarantee turns 18 or.
So if the guarantor is removed from that individual's account, then they would have that if they change status. So let's say we're changing from a child or a teen to a patron, then they in essence would lose their guarantor guarantee status.
Okay, I think that's the question.
Yep. Good question. Okay, great. Okay, well, this takes me right into our next enhancement. Now we'll look at some of the things in our patron fields. We now have an option that shows a warning on the patron details page if a patron's fines exceed the no issue charge. Now, right now, I'm going to pull up one of our patrons here. I'm going to pull up Wondrin DePlank. Okay, now you'll notice right up top we have a new field that shows me that she has fees and charges that are outstanding of $25. Now previously we could see this in the checkout. So right, it would tell me right away that they can't check out because she has overdue fines and fees. With this new enhancement, we can now see it on the details tab as well. So it'll tell us right up top in that details page if the patron has an outstanding fee and charge of X amount of dollars. Okay. All right. Let's look at another enhancement. I'm going to come over here. We're going to pull Joans Account back up. And this new enhancement adds pending holds to the print summary sheet. So for those of you who print out receipts or use the printout summary, you now will be able to also see any pending holds within that summary. So if I come over here to print summary, there we go. You can see that it gives me Joan's information. I can also see the items that are checked out. And there's my addition of now pending holds in the system. Okay, so just a nice option there. So if you guys use that print summary, now you'll see the addition of pending holds. Okay. All right, now let's take a look at some of our options over here. Under our messaging, we have two new enhancements, and one of them is a long time in coming. Lots of times folks would ask, especially in larger systems, if you have more than one location, the option to be able to see the staff member who added that particular message. So if you take a look over here under our messages, you now can see that on 3/29, Joaquin DePlank, which is also a clickable link. I can open that in a new tab, and that'll take me right out to Joaquin's account, that he left a message that Joan left her keys on the circulation desk. So this is huge. How many people are excited about that? I know I sure am. People have been asking about that one for a while. The other option that we have is now if an individual goes to delete a message that is on a patron's account, they get a pop-up warning screen, okay? So this is another new enhancement. We have a confirmation message for deleting patron messages from the system. So after you select delete, we now get this pop-up that says, are you sure you want to do this? So then I can go in and of course select cancel or okay. All right. Okay, we have another enhancement here, and that's on the details page. Currently in the system, you can click on an individual's email and it will prompt a connection to whether it's your client, Gmail, or if you're on a Mac, or if you use Microsoft Office, whatever it may be. There's another new enhancement now that will allow you to select the phone number of an individual. So depending on what browser you're using or what laptop or desktop you are using, if you have the option to make phone calls from your computer or from your mobile device, you can select that phone number and it will prompt a call. For those of you, sometimes if you're logged into Gmail, you can use that Google phone call, or if you're logged in on one of your devices, maybe your iPad or an Android device, you can now click on that phone number and it will call out to that individual. So this enhancement makes the phone number a clickable to call. A lot of times you'll see that on a consumer's website. Maybe you go under there and you look for contact us and you see that that phone number is clickable. That does it just for you. So if anyone's using that option, you can now do that. Okay, one more enhancement I'd like to show you here in the patron's account information, and that's going to be under the fines tab. Okay. And on the account information, we now have some more new buttons. Again, I'll probably sound like a broken record, but you're going to see a lot of these buttons all over the new 1611 release that allows you to either print or reverse. Before you'd see a lot of the clickable links. Now we have these nice font and really beautiful buttons that easily allow us to either print or reverse that payment right from this button. So rather before they were links, now we have the buttons. So you'll notice some of these nice visual enhancements. All right, so now that we've talked about some of our enhancements for circulation, for our patrons, now let's roll into some of our enhancements for circulation and patron tools. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to scroll down to our tools feature. And over here on the left-hand side, I'm going to come over here to patron lists. There's actually two enhancements in here. For those of you who use patron lists, it's a great way to do batch modifications to your patrons. You now have a couple more options. So let's take a look at the Girl Scouts list that we've created. I'm going to come over here to our Actions button. The first enhancement is now that we can print patron cards right from patron lists. So this is a great new enhancement. If you guys use the patron card creator, you can now come directly into a patron list and select patron cards. What that will do is that will pull up your print patron cards, and it will add it into an option where you can export them and print them out. Another enhancement that we have from our lists feature is to come over here to Actions and batch delete patrons. Now, prior to this, The only way to delete patrons would be to go into the individual's patron account and then delete the patron one off there, or go into the batch patron deletion and anonymization and go through a process of deleting patrons that way. So this allows you a more customized list to delete. Okay, now that we've talked about that, let's move into some of our new circulation and fine rules. So I'm going to come down to More and select my administration. We have a few things here that have been updated that affect some of our holds and circulation rules. So I'm going to come down to my circ and fine rules. The first option that we have is going to be down here under our default checkout, hold, and return policy. Okay. This allows you to set the default max number for checkouts, holds, and returns. Okay. Now, in this option, we have a new column that's been added, and that is the hold pickup library match. This adds the ability to allow only items whose home or holding branch matches the hold's pickup branch to fill a given hold. Okay, so let's talk about that. This limits the hold filling to items that match the pickup library for a hold based on the item's home or holding branch. So let's take a look at that drop down. So by default, it is set to any library. That means any library can have the hold pickup library match, okay? Now, you have the option to have the item's home library, which would be the permanent location, or the item's holding library, which would be the current location. So now you have the option, one more column has been added in, that you can select if any library can have the hold pickup library match, or just the item's home library, or the item's holding library. Again, think of it like this. If it's the item's home library, do you want it to go to the home location or the item's holding library? So for example, if you do, if the item floats or if it's transferred to another location, it would go to that holding library, which again is its current location. Okay. All right. Another option. If we scroll all the way down to the bottom, I'm going to talk about if items float. Okay. So if anyone uses the option where items float, okay, this new option gives you a little option to print a slip when an item is returning that may be in a collection that needs to move. What this will do is you'll get a pop-up and you'll have a little link that will allow you to print a slip if it needs to be sent somewhere else or it needs to return home. You'll have the option to print that slip right from that pop-up menu. Okay, one more in our circulation and fine rules over here. I'm going to scroll all the way over to our holds, and I'm going to focus on the on-shelf holds allowed, okay? This new enhancement adds the ability to prevent a patron from placing a hold on a record with available items, okay? So on-shelf holds would mean that you're allowing your patrons to place hold for items that are available on the shelf. This enhancement came out of some libraries would want to have the option to prevent patrons from placing holds on items where other items are available for the patron to check out. So now there's a new option in our drop-down menu, and that is if all are unavailable, okay? So in the past, in prior releases, Koha would allow on-shelf holds if even one item on the record wasn't available for a hold. So this enhancement adds the option to say only allow holds if all items are unavailable. Okay, so that means if there's no items available on the shelf, then they can place a hold. Okay. All right. We have one more here that's been added in, and that is the default lost item fee refund on return policy. This lets you specify the option for the refund lost item fee to either yes or no. So you can set that policy across the board, of course, or if you are a multi-branch system, you can set it under each of your different libraries. If I had different rules set up for my different branches, I can come in here and also set a particular. Default would be what my all libraries rule is, or I can come in here and set my specific for my specific branch. Okay. All right. Now we have one more here in our circ and fine rules, and that's to add the ability to set the maximum fine for an item to its replacement price. You'll notice we have another new column in here, and that is to cap fine at the replacement price. Okay. If you would like to prevent overcharging of your patrons or students for lost items, you can check the box under cap fine at replacement price, because remember, I can control this at the patron category and item level. If you check this box, this will prevent the patron's fines from going above the replacement price of an item. So for example, if I selected this box and I had my overdue fines cap set to $25, maybe I had a CD that the replacement price was only $19.99. It would cap that fine at the replacement cost of that particular item. Okay, so again, that's something that you can either select to turn on for specific rules, all your rules, or no rules at all. Okay. All right, let's look at a few more system preferences. I'm going to come back over and we're going to select our system preferences. And the first one we're going to take a look at is the availability to store the last patron to return an item. So if a patron has anonymized their reading history, you can still see the last borrower in the item's checkout history. So this setting is independent of your OPAC reading history and anonymous patron. What this comes into play is if the checkout history is anonymized, and let's think about a scenario where we've just grabbed all of our books from the book drop and we're sitting at the desk and we're checking in all of our books. We've checked in maybe about 20 books. We get ready to go out and shelve these, and we open a book and we then notice that somebody has taken black permanent marker and crossed out the words that they believe are offensive for other readers. Now, if we have our checkout history anonymized, we won't be able to see who that last borrower was. If you turn this on to store, you will be able to see the last patron to return an item. Okay. So that is really nice if you anonymize and you want to be able to go back and look at just who that last borrower was, just in the scenario where something may be wrong with that book and you didn't get to check who it was when you were checking in. Okay, another great system preference that's been added in is our holds queue for skipped days. So for those of you that use the holds queue, we have a new option that's been added in. The holds queue is typically generated several times during the day in order to select items to fill holds. A lot of times these items are sent to a different library. However, some libraries are closed and open different days. For example, maybe one of your branches is closed on a Sunday. Well, that hold will remain unfilled even if there are other open libraries who own that item. What this enhancement does is it skips closed libraries for the purpose of selecting items to fill holds. This is a huge one. I'll tell you right now, my local library is closed Sundays and Mondays at one of our branches. So this enhancement would skip that and go to another library that's open. So that's going to be holds queue skip closed. So here you'll notice I still have that static holds queue wait, but now I have an option that says when they are open or closed. So that gives you a little flexibility there. Okay, let's take a look at some more system preferences. And one is going to be for that patron self-registration. So for those of you who are using your patron self-registration on the OPAC, you have a little bit of flexibility there. If you have circulation staff that check to see who has self-registered, you have a couple options here that have been added in. The first is the option to allow specific libraries to not use the self-registration feature. So if you are in a library that may have multiple branches or locations, you can specify which libraries want to use the self-registration. That way, if other branches don't, you can turn that option off. You also have a little more flexibility on the borrower's mandatory fields and borrow unwanted fields, okay? You can allow your users to now create their own password during registration. So for example, I could make password a mandatory field. That way when they're creating their account, they can set that up. So you have a little more flexibility there. Okay, let's talk about another one. We have a new feature called article request. Now, if you were in on some of our other sessions, we've gone over article request in the full process, but this ties into some of our circulation preferences. So article requests allow us to turn the option to allow our patrons or students to make article requests. So my first one is going to be to set that to enable or not to enable. And then I have system preferences that will allow me to control what fields are mandatory at the record level, the item level, or if they can choose either or. So some nice flexibility there. Okay. Let's take a look at another new system preference, and that's going to be under logs. We now have a new holds log. This will allow you to log or don't log any actions on the holds. So creating, canceling, suspending, resuming your holds. And of course, you know you can search those holds if I come into Tools, and then I come over to Log Viewer. And now I have the option in my modules to come over here and select holds. And then if I want to see all actions, I can come down and hit submit. And then that will show me any type of holds that have taken place for a particular time period. So here you can see some that we've done, and it will give us a breakdown of those logs. Okay, I'm going to head back into our system preferences. We have one more that will affect our circulation and patrons, and that is the addition of the option for SMS via email through the system. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to grab that SMS. This new option allows us to send an email out to our patrons via the mobile or text number that they have. And then in exchange, the mobile carrier will then send an SMS message out to our user. In prior releases, you would have to have a third-party provider. Now in this release, you can use email as an option. So once I select email as an option in my SMS send driver, when I come back to administration and I scroll down to my additional parameters, I have the option for SMS cellular providers. What this is allowing me to do is I can send an SMS message out via email. Then when Sprint or T-Mobile or AT&T or Verizon receives that email, they will in exchange send it out as an SMS message to that particular number. Once this is created, we could see those patrons in the system. So let's take a look at what it looks like now in the system. So I'm going to come over here to Joans Account. If I come over to details, you'll notice that under our patron messaging preferences, I now have an SMS number that's visible. If I come in here to edit, this is where I can enter in my SMS number. I do caution you when you're entering that in, no hyphens are necessary. Also, you need to select what the SMS provider is. If you leave it set to unknown, that message will not go out. That's how the system is actually sending the email. So it takes that SMS number and then it sends it to the email that's in that T-Mobile or Sprint or AT&T or Verizon set. Now, of course, I can come up top and select which messages I want to go out via SMS.
Jesse?
Yeah.
Tanya wants to know if they need to have all providers, Cricket, Consumer Cellular, Walmart, on the list since they use the larger carriers' towers.
If Cricket is the provider, then yes. And Tanya at Flower Mound?
Tanya Underwood.
Yes, hey, Tanya, yes. So in the Koha manual, there's actually a complete list of a lot of other providers, and I can actually quickly add that into the chat box if you're interested. There's a bunch of them in there. We kind of just added the top 4 to get that list started, but there is a complete list in the manual that has I think there's like 10 or 15 different providers in there. So you can add as many as you need into that list.
Thank you.
Yep, here we go. I'm going to put that right into the chat box. Boost Mobile is in there. Verizon, Virgin Mobile. And actually, I know if you go to the provider's website, you'll also be able to see their emails on that site as well. I had somebody ask me about Iowa Wireless, and we went to the site and we were able to find it there as well. Okay, well, we're right at about an hour. I would like to leave it open. If you guys have any questions, please let Adam know and he'll relay them over to me. While the questions are coming in, I do want to remind you, there are lots of great videos that are available on our YouTube channel, as well as our upgrade notes. We have a lot for those specialties like PayPal payments in Koha, our relatives checkouts, and those go right out to our YouTube channel. We've been adding in several videos as we go for some of these smaller enhancements. So if you like those step-by-step videos, they are available right in our YouTube channel. And I'll throw this one in the chat box as well for those of you who may be interested in PayPal. Can I answer any other questions?
No questions.
Okay, well, I want to thank you everyone for attending our circulation and patrons upgrade webinar session. If you have any questions, please feel free to email or submit a ticket and we'd be happy to answer them. We have one more week of webinars going on next week, so if you have staff out there that still haven't attended, please join us next week. I hope everyone has a wonderful night. Thank you, everyone, and thank you, Adam, for monitoring the chat to keep that communication flow going. Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Have a great night.